This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Now, Kafka, Apache Kafka. What is Kafka? Anyone has any idea? Anyone get a chance to go through it or to understand anytime? Anyone has any idea about it? Kafka. Okay. So no problem. If you don't have any idea about Kafka, let's talk about it. I will explain you. Before we talk about Kafka, okay, let me give you a simple scenario. Based on that, we will understand why Kafka came into picture. Then we will see one by one. Okay. Let's say I have my own small startup company where whenever you have any company, whenever you want to process some data, you will be having one source, you will be having one source, and you will be having one target. Correct? You will be having one source and you will be having one target. So from the source, the data will be sending. It will be received by your destination target target system. And in the target system, we will be doing whatever the analysis or whatever we want to do, we'll be doing it. We have a source and we have a target. Source and destination or source and target. Here it's very clear now. It's very simple and clear because we have one source, there is a one destination where the source will send the data, the destination will receive the data and it applies whatever the operations you want. Let's say my company grown or my business grown and I started collecting this data from the different sources. I started collecting the data from the different sources. Source 1, source 2, source 3, 4, 5, different sources. And when I'm getting the data from the different sources, I do have a different targets. I do have a different targets. Different target systems. Now, this is source 1. When I say different target means different process we do and different we'll put into different systems or different processing systems we have. Okay, this is source 1, source 2, source 3, source 5. This is target 1, target 2, target 3, 4, and 5. Now, let's assume that here every source system will be sending the data to across all the destinations. We need to understand that the destination machines will collect the data from all the sources and respective source wise the respective targets will process the data. Let's say process the data, they will use the data and they will do either they will generate analytics or they process or they store, no, whatever the operation they will perform. Now here, if you take this as a if you take this as a source and sending the data to the destination, let me draw how it looks. to what? The source will send the data to here. The same source will send the data to here. Same source will send the data to here, here, and here. Similarly, this will send data to here. Look at the data pipelines, okay? How the data will, the connections between each and every source, and look at the data pipeline. These connections will call data pipeline. And now we have a biggest problem here. There's a lot of confusion and lot of clumsy. This is data pipelines. Okay, when you have a more sources, when we have a more targets, then we'll get a lot of integrations, a lot of confusion here, right? So which one is sending to which data? If any pipeline is failed, it's very difficult to identify. And also, when you have this many huge number of pipelines or huge number of connections with one too many sources or one too many targets, one source too many targets. So if which data pipeline is failed, which connection is failed, what format of the data is failed. So to identify that is little difficult. And also when you have this kind of clumsy pipelines, we will end up with creating some problems. Okay, the problems is confusion between the what are the protocols uses. So there are different type of protocols. So there are different type of protocols. So one source can use TCP, one source can use HTTP, one source can use some other JDBC, some sources can use REST. So there is a confusion which source using what protocol to connect the destination will not be having clarity, right? One is we may confuse with the protocols, which source is connected to destination on which with using what protocol, like either TCP or HTTP or REST or JDBC or anything. What protocol it has used, we may not really sure, or FTP, right? That there will be one confusion here. And the next one is data format. Data format. How the data is parsed here from different sources. We are getting the data into different targets. How the data is getting parsed. How the data is getting parsed. So different formats, like we may get into CSV file, we may get into binary, we may get into JSON, XML, Avro, or Parquet. So there are different file formats is there. So because of clumsy or huge number of data pipelines, we may get a confusion. What source is sending in what format? What source is sending in what format? That issue, that confusion will be there. Next, schema, data schema. Here also, which data has been formatted in what way? Which data has been shaped in what way? So this kind of confusions will be there. This kind of confusions will be there. And also, if the sources are increased, There is a lot of confusion. Are you guys clear about the problem statement? When you have a simple one source and one destination, there is no problem at all. It was a very simple data pipeline. It's a simple data pipeline. But when it comes to here, it's a complex confusion. You guys understand what I'm trying to say here? Yes, no.
Yes.
So how to avoid this problem? How to avoid this problem? So that's where the new invention come into picture. That's where the new invention come into picture. That one is our Kafka. I'll just tell you. Kafka. Apache Kafka. It has been developed at LinkedIn. The system has been developed at LinkedIn and they have donated to Apache. And even though it is donated to Apache, there is a company called Confluent. So Confluent is maintaining the whole Kafka part. Confluence is actually taking care of the enhancements or any improvements or any what I can say different improvements it is doing actually. Okay, and also Kafka is not only for solving this kind of problem. It also has its own analysis process. I'll show you that. We will explain. I'll explain in detail it. How Kafka solves this problem? How Kafka solves this problem? Kafka actually Kafka actually act as a central system between different sources. A central system between two sources. Let me take this example. Or I have already copied, right? Just do one. This is my sources. This is my destination. Now, Kafka actually become a central system between them. Kafka become a central system. So, like there are different kind of sources I told you, right? Let's take an example. It's a mobile application. It's a web application data, web events, or something like you are getting some data from the finance as a source, or you may getting that user events, user logins, user activities, or some other stuff. The destinations are like you may have a database, maybe, or you may have some system for data analysis, or you may have some data for email notification, or you may have some other system for a big data. Or you may have something called audit. So here's what is happening here. There different source systems are there, and there are destination systems are there. You have so many source systems are there, and also you have different kind of different kind of destination systems are there. So how we will how we will this problem is solved by Kafka is actually Kafka is acting as a central system. The sources will send the data to Kafka. These destination systems will connect to the Kafka. Whoever is interested in data, whoever is interested in the data, they will connect to Kafka and they will read the data. If you see this architecture and if you see the previous architecture, if you see this architecture and if you see the previous architecture, it was very clear. It's very clear, right? There is no confusion here. There is no confusion here. It's very much clear. So source will send the data to Kafka, and whoever is interested on that data, they will connect to that Kafka, then they will read the data, they will process it. So you look at here the difference between these two diagrams, how this data looks and how this architecture and this architecture looks. Which one looks clear and simple? The Kafka system, correct? So actually what it does, whatever the dependencies were there, so many dependencies were there from the source to destination, it has been decoupled. It has been removed that the dependency. Okay, it has been removed that dependency. Now I will be knowing that suppose I'm interested. So there is a system called analysis system. It is interested on the web unit, web data, and finance data. So what that analysis target will do, it will connect to the it will talk to the Kafka. Hey Kafka, I want the data from web events and I want the data from finance. So then it will take the data clearly. So it knows that what data it is going to get. It knows that from where it is going to what data it is going to take. So there is no confusion here now. There is no confusion here. You guys understand, guys? So what the Kafka did here? What is the Kafka did here? It has solved the problem of lot of data confusion or data pipelines, the clumsy pipelines. So in case of any system fail, it can clearly understand which one is failed, which one is not sending the data, or which one is not taking the data. Okay. Why only Kafka? Why only Kafka? Don't we have any other systems? There are some other systems. There are some other systems like JMS, messaging queue systems. It is not actually messaging queue system. The beyond the messaging queue system. If you say JMS, it is not only the messaging system. It is beyond the messaging system. It can process the data. It can process the data. People can say RabbitMQ. That's also messaging system. It's beyond the messaging system, and it is open source. And it is open source, and it is proven. There are a lot of companies. More than 40% of the companies have started using the Kafka, and they're experiencing good, good results, and what I can say, they're very much happy with the Kafka. Okay, so it is a open source. Why Kafka? Because let me write it here. Because it's a open source. If it's open source, you guys know what is the advantage of it. No need to pay to anyone. No need to pay to anyone. You can take the source code and you can implement your own features. You can enhance your own features, and it is distributed collection of data. It'll distribute and collect the data. Okay, you can say just a distributed and fault tolerant. You can say fault tolerant. You can say resilient. You can say resilient. It's a distributed, fault tolerant data collecting system or data processing system. Next, are you guys following? If any confusion, if any doubt, please ask me. Okay. So since it is a different kind of system compared to other systems, it can be scalable. Scalable means tomorrow, suppose tomorrow my sources are increased, I can happily go ahead and increase my Kafka. I can happily go ahead and increase my Kafka because by adding one more machine in the Kafka. By adding one more machine in the Kafka. So I'll show you that how the Kafka architecture looks. So that time you will be easily understand. Okay. So it is scalable. One second. Spelling is wrong. It's a scalable, horizontally scalable. And it is proven that it can send millions of messages per second. Millions of messages per second. It is it can scalable to send the messages. It is scalable to send millions of messages per second. Okay. So as I said, more than close to 40% of the companies are started using this component. Okay. So the Kafka, it's an open source. If you see that Kafka also has its own what I can say documentation. Let's see the Kafka. You can see the Kafka's own documentation. Okay, so it has a different versions. It has a different versions. These are the recent versions 2.5. One second, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay, if you go to this Apache Kafka org, and you can see the different versions, and look at the Apache Kafka how the architecture looks. Okay, you have a different sources, and it's a central system, and I have a different destinations. Okay, so what is up Kafka's? Let me show you. By definition, Apache Kafka is a distributed streaming platform. Okay, what it is? It is a distributed streaming platform. What is a streaming platform? What it does? It is a pub sub system. We'll call it as a pub sub. Publish and subscribe some data. It will publish some data. There will be someone who will subscribe to the data and read it. It is a publish and subscribe to the stream of records. So it's similar to messaging queue system. It is not only messaging queue system, it's beyond the messaging queue system. Again, 1 second, guys. Again, the sorry guys, just stop. So here it's a Apache Kafka is a distributed streaming platform. So what is the streaming platform means? It will be someone will be publishing the data, and at the destination end, whoever is interested, they will connect and they will read the data. They will connect and they'll read the data, and they will make use of that whatever the purpose. No, they will whatever the process they want to do. See, these publishers will call whoever the publish the data will call publishers, and whoever subscribe the data will call consumers. Publish and consume. Okay, and also how it is better than other systems, since the data will be stored in the brokers. We'll call them as a broker. There we can call them as a machines nodes. The data will store in the those broker machines, and it is a fault tolerant way, and it's a fault tolerant way, and also well balanced. How it is a fault tolerant, as we know that there is something called replication. We discussed about replication factor in HDFS, right? Similarly, here it has a replication factor. It has a replication factor. With the help of the replication factor, it is also fault tolerant. It is also fault tolerant. And also, it has something called partitioning. It has something called partitioning. With the help of that partitioning, with the help of that partitioning, Kafka is well load balanced. With the help of the partitioning, it is a well load balanced. So what is the purpose of using Kafka? What is the purpose of using Kafka? If we take a Kafka use cases, if you take a Kafka use cases, not only messaging system, guys, not only messaging system. Suppose I want to collect event tracking. Let's say a user, how many times it has been logged in, what are the things he has added to his cart, and what are the things he is purchased, and what is the search pattern. So what will happen, it will start collect that events information. So when you start collect that event information, what will happen, we can easily process the data. We can easily process the data at the end, consumer end, and we can give the recommendations to him, and we can give the recommendations to him, right? Yes or no? So it's not only that, it can collect the information from the different locations. Okay, it can collect the logs, system logs, application logs. It can collect the application logs, right? So whatever the data has been collected, whatever the data has been collected, it can process the data. It can process the data by using Kafka's own streaming process, or by using Spark streaming process. We will be discussing as part of this course Spark streaming process, not the Kafka streaming process. Kafka has its own streaming process, so will not be talking about it. I am also not much aware of it. So I know that how it will be done and how the what language it uses. There is something called KSQL, Kafka SQL. So it uses that language and it will process the data. But when it comes to Spark, since we are dealing with Spark and we are learning the Spark, I'll show you the Spark streaming, how the Spark will integrate with the Kafka, and how it will read the data, and how it will process. We'll discuss about it. Okay. Not only that, Kafka, what it does, there was a huge dependency between the source systems, and it is decoupling that dependency with the help of different kind of APIs. Okay, and also it is reducing the load. It has a better load balancing with the help of the partitions. Okay, so it has easy integration with the different destination systems that we will discuss in the couple of minutes. And I can tell you the best examples for all using the Kafka. I can tell you simple, the LinkedIn, where whatever we are seeing the LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is actually using the Kafka for uh, messaging systems, and it is using for the recommendations. It is using the trending. What is the trending message? Trending messages or trending topics, and Netflix. Netflix, a streaming. What I can say, streaming movie application, right? Uber. There are a lot of people are using the Kafka. Any doubts so far? Any doubts?
No, Ravi.
Okay. So the Kafka is generally used for the two type of systems, as I have explained you different use cases. One is building a real-time data pipeline to reliably get the data between the system to system or system to application. Building a real-time streaming application that transfer or react the streaming of the data. So one is, see, it is actually what it's saying, that it is the system where we can transfer the data, uh, and it can process the data, the streaming process. The other one is it can just create the data pipelines between the two systems, and one system can send the data, other system can receive the data, and it can make use of it. Okay, look at the Kafka architecture. This is the only Kafka architecture, guys. There won't be a different thing. This is the simple Kafka architecture. You will be having producers, we will call publishers. There is a respective producer API. You can look at here. There is something called producer API, who actually has a set of classes and libraries to produce the data, to send the data. And there is a respect to consumers. There's some consumers, so it has its own consumer API. How to connect to the Kafka, how to read the data, so that information tells by the API. API is nothing but it's a collection of classes and libraries, guys. Nothing else. Collection of classes and the interfaces, some libraries to connect and read the data. Okay, I can tell you a simple example. If you take any language, the language will have some predefined functions, predefined classes, libraries, predefined methods, predefined functions, or predefined data types, right? That's nothing but an API. Okay, for the streaming process, it has a streaming API. For connectors, to connect the database and the different connectors, how it has a connectors, and managing the cluster, and it has a admin API. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, let's see some general or fundamental terminologies which we are going to use in Kafka. Okay, then we will go with the setup. Okay, one is, let me take this diagram. Let me put into our discussion diagram. What is this? It can like this. Oh, it's better. We can draw it. Okay. So Kafka is we'll call Kafka cluster. We'll call Kafka cluster, and we call Kafka cluster Kafka cluster, it will be connected to multiple machines. There will be multiple machines that are connected to the Kafka. Those machines will call brokers. In the Kafka terminologies, we'll call brokers. When I say Kafka cluster, it is a collection of or a group of machines connected each other and share the information. We can call it as a cluster. So normal cluster is like that. When I say cluster, a group of machines will be connected each other and they will be sharing the information between them. Next, broker. Here we'll call each machine as one broker. Each individual machine is called broker. Who actually stores the data? Who actually stores the data in the form of segments, log segments. We'll talk about that. Okay. So Kafka cluster is a collection of broker machines or some machines. Why we are calling it as a broker? Because in the Kafka cluster there will be some publishers, we'll call them as a producers, who will produce the data. Producer who produces the data, and there will be other end consumers. Another end there will be consumers. These consumers will connect to the Kafka and read the data. There will be some consumers, they will connect to the Kafka and they read the data. In between, this data stores where some machines. In between, the data stores where in some machines. In some machines, these machines are actually acting as an agents between this producer and consumer. In between, this guys holds the data. The producer give to one machine, and the consumer connect to the same machine. It will read the data. So in between the producer and consumer, your Kafka's machine, one of the machines is acting as an agent, broker or agent, to store the information. Whenever the producer gives information, it will hold it. Whenever the consumer asks for it, it will give it. So it is acting as agent between two parties. That's the reason we'll call it as a broker. Okay. The next, Kafka uses ring architecture. It is not a master-slave architecture. Kafka is not a master-slave architecture. Kafka is ring architecture. What is a ring architecture? When we say a ring architecture, or I can say leader-follower architecture. I can say ring architecture, or I can say leader and follower architecture. The advantage in the ring architecture is every mission will be having the complete information about another mission. In the ring architecture or a leader follower architecture, every mission will have information about other system. Let's take an example here. This is the mission. This guy knows about this mission. This guy knows about this mission. This guy knows about this mission. This guy knows about all other missions. You take another mission here. Let's take I take this mission. This guy is aware about this mission. This guy aware about this mission, and also this guy is aware about all other missions. That's called ring architecture or leader follower architecture. What is the advantage of each mission? They know about other mission. If other mission is not available, still this mission can hold. I mean, it can respond. It can respond. If one mission is not available, other mission cannot respond since it is aware of what was happening with other mission. Okay, so it is a ring architecture or the leader follower architecture. Leader follower architecture. Another next terminology we'll keep here is topic. Next terminology you will frequently use in Kafka is topic. Very simple, guys. Topic represents type of data or a stream of data. It's a logical name is given to one particular stream of data. Today, what topic we are discussing? Kafka. Yesterday, what topic we discussed? Spark. Other before day, what we discussed? Scala. Other day, so what type of data? What type of data or what stream of data? It represents a stream of data. What stream of data it is? I used to tell this one an example. Let's say I have a company where I will give you a different kind of liquids. I can give petrol, I can give water, I can give diesel, I can give crude oils, or I can say I can give that cooking oil, I can give hair oils. So what I'm trying to do here, I have a different pipelines. When anyone come and ask me, hey, I need a petrol, I will fill it from the one topic, one stream. I will not mix it. If I mix it, what will happen? It will be a big problem, right? So I have a separate pipelines for every stream of data, every stream of the data. So that stream you are representing is a topic. Suppose I want a petrol, what I will do directly, I'll go to the petrol pipeline. I will collect the petrol from there. I want the cooking oil, I'll directly go to the cooking oil pipeline. I'll get the cooking oil. I want the water, I'll go to the water pipeline. I'll get the water. Okay, suppose I'm importing these things also. I'm importing from some different place, right? So I got a petrol tanker today. What I will say, you put into the petrol related topic or petrol related tank. I get the water. Then what I'll say, let's say I got the mineral water. What I'll say, take this mineral water, put into the respective mineral water tank or respective mineral water topic, right? So these producers will produce the data. They'll produce the data and publish into the respective topic. One producer interested on the one thing, another producer is interested in the other thing. They will publish the data into respective topic, and there is a consumer. He is interested on some type of data. Let's say I'm interested in the petrol. So I'll connect to that Kafka topic. I will start reading it. Is everyone is clear about the topic? The name topic. Any confusion? Because it's the most important in interview question. People will ask, what is the topic in Kafka? People will ask like that. And also try to remember, guys, Kafka is pub sub mission system. Someone will publish the data, someone will subscribe and read the data. It is not like other systems where someone will publish the data, it will directly go ahead and deliver to the destination. No, it will, if anyone publish the data, it will holds the data. Kafka holds the data. Whoever is interested, they will take the data, they will process it. How long it will hold the data? That's another question will come into mind. There is something called retention period for every message. There is something called retention period for every message. Based on that retention period, by default it is a 1 week or 1 GB data. It's the retention period is already there. It is 1 week or it's a 1 week or 1 GB of the data it will hold. After that, it will get deleted, automatically get deleted. The broker will get removed. It is not directly delivery system. It will not deliver the system. If anyone publish, it will keep and hold the data, holds the data. When anyone interested and subscribe and ask for the data, it will give the data. So it doesn't mean that if the consumer is consumed, the data will not be deleted. It doesn't mean that if the consumer is consumed, the data will get deleted. No, it will not get deleted. The data will be there in the brokers. The data will be there in the machines. Irrespective of whether the consumer is consumed the data or not, the data will be there in the Kafka. Okay. Are you guys clear about this topic? Broker topic, and another one is replication. We already know what is a replication. Replication for the fault tolerant case, nothing else. Okay, it stores the data into different machines. It stores the data into different machines. Okay, while you are creating a topic, you have to tell what is the replication for per topic. The replication is not for the per message. The replication is for the per topic. Okay, per stream of the data. Okay, suppose if I'm talking about a petrol, okay, if the petrol stream has to be how many copies. Okay, so try to remember the replication is not for the message wise, replication is for the topic wise. Whoever put the message in that topic to automatically get distributed into 3 different machines. Is this clear?
Yes.
Next, partition. Next, partition. So partition also same as your other system what we discussed about partition. It's also same way partition, guys. Partition is for load balancing. This is also topic wise. Each topic will be partitioned into number of partitions. This suppose it has a different mechanism to put the messages. Let's say okay, let's say I have a 3 machines, 3 agents. I think it's better to write. So there is a topic called petrol, or there is a topic called logs, application logs. So whenever the data comes, the first message went to here. The same message come to the same topic. Another message come to the same topic. The message will be distributed, sent to the next agent. The next message will send to the next agent. This is called round robin fashion. So the next message will go here. Next message will go here. Next message will go here. Okay, so like that, it has a round robin. There are different techniques are there. We'll discuss about it. There is a hash technique and there is a round robin. There is a custom. We can also write our own partition algorithm, how it can be partition. Okay. Okay. So yeah, these are the basic fundamental or basic The terminologies will be keep hearing. There is one more thing called offset. There is something called offset. There is something called message. Message is nothing but a record, a piece of data. Okay. So offset is nothing but a unique identification number is given to every message, partition wise. Partition wise. As I said, one topic can be partitioned into multiple parts, right? So every partition will have its own messaging system. So we'll see in the detail, going forward sessions. Okay. So tomorrow we'll be doing the setup, because this setup we will be doing in a classroom itself, because I have to explain few couple of things and who is a coordinator and all those things. That setup we will be doing the classroom itself. If anyone is interested to do the setup in their own, we have our setup is steps in YouTube channel. So there is a Kafka setup there. You can go through that and you can do the setup your own in the Ubuntu. We can also do the Kafka setup in the Windows, that we will do in the next session for our hands-on. So it's recommended is use your Linux or Mac or any Linux flavored machines for the hands-on. But here it also works with the Windows. You can also make use of Windows, but it's recommended is Linux platform, because in the real time we'll be having Linux platform only. Okay, so that's it for now. So let's connect in the next session. We'll talk about in detail. In the next session, we'll talk about the setup, and we will do the how to create a topic and how to publish the message. So those things we will see in the next session. If any questions, please ask me. Else we can leave for the day. So for the next session, we require the Zookeeper. We require a Zookeeper and Kafka. Please download them. Okay, so which version to download and all is there in our YouTube channel video. You download it. Otherwise, I can tell you what to download and all. Okay, and Java 8 is required, so it should not be more than that. So there are some missions, as I know, that they're using Java 10, Java 9 and Java 10. So don't use that. We'll go with the Java 8. Any questions, any doubts about whatever we have discussed so far?
Yeah, Ravi, I have one doubt.
Hmm.
It's like one producer can send multiple types of data. Suppose if in under one producer,
Hmm.
petrol data is coming, diesel data is coming, and CNG data.
He can
So
send. He can send.
okay, so based on the topic, we on the receiver side also there will be pipeline created. So it won't mess up the data. Like diesel data won't go to petrol, or petrol won't
Obviously.
go to.
Obviously, your consumption will be consumed based on the topic wise, right? Not based on the producer wise.
Okay, okay.
Your
And
consumer, your consumer is going to consume the data based on the topic. Topic wise, you will consume, not producer wise. Hey, oh, data come from that producer. Give me the data. No, because that producer may produce a different types of the data.
okay, okay,
Yeah. Go ahead with next question.
yeah. My next question is like it is using a leader follower architecture where every machine is having the information of other machine.
Correct.
If I consider the HDFS architecture, it uses the FSMJ and edits law. So if it is storing the data of each and every machine, so the I mean the
Sorry, I'm not able to hear your voice clearly.
okay.
Could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, I mean, this Kafka uses a leader-follower architecture where A machine will be having the information about B, and B will be having the information about every
Yeah.
machine which is operating. So
Every
won't
machine
it
will
be
have
burden
a
on Kafka?
it's not a burden, it's a metadata only, right? It is not going to store the data, it is just an information. It is just information. Every machine will be having information about other machine. In case of it's a highly fault tolerated, right? It's a highly tolerant. So one is data tolerant and also system tolerant. So in case of any one machine goes down, I should not say my cluster is not working. right?
Okay.
So that's the reason. Every system will be having a information about other system. Here there is no only one machine as a leader. There is no one machine as a leader. So leader will be varies. One time for one topic, for one message, one leader. For other time for other message, other guy is a leader. So you'll be having a different leaders.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So in the
So
master slave architecture, only master and slave will be there. Suppose if the master is gone, our cluster is we cannot access our cluster. Yeah, go ahead. Another question.
leader will be topic wise, right?
Yes, yes. We'll see that in detail. Okay. Any other? Okay. So if no questions, that's it for now. Let's connect in the next session. We'll discuss in detail about. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Thank
Ravi.
you.